Welcome back, everyone, for the conclusion of the 2019 Minnesota Amateur Championships, presented by Everyday Disc Golf and the PDGA. We've got the back half of Kaposia course to play. Let's get to it.
Love getting outside and challenging yourself to become better? How about spending time with family and friends, or just marveling at the pure joy of flight? Then you've come to the right place at the right time. Join the PDGA.
And of course, thank you to the PDGA, as this is a PDGA amateur-only A-tier. As I mentioned, we're at Kaposia Park. We're catching up with Taylor Haney. This hole is 355 feet. Doesn't set up real well for a lefty. However, as you hear, the rest of the card giving him a little bit of grief as he throws a great shot, actually. Rowdy having a little struggle there with the tree. That's pretty much what you're trying to do here. Looks like a really good looking shot there. Teeing up is Ed. Ed, who sits at 5 under, started the day at 6 under, as did Matt and Taylor. Rowdy and Chris both started the day at 7 under. That was their opening round. This is Chris Lundquist of Par Save Productions. After that kick to the left side, Rowdy doesn't have much more than a layout to center fairway, which is really the smart play. Got to give both him and Ed here a lot of credit, as they didn't go for any miraculous hero shot. They still have at least half the, at least half the hole to go here. And that should put him on the dance floor. Ed putting it right up the middle. And it looks like there might have been a late tree here for Taylor, because it looked great right out of his hand. And he's gone just a bit long, but he's been putting really well. As you see, he's at 8 under, like I mentioned. That's 2 down for the round. Matt is 9 under, so he's 3 down for the round. And Matt seems to be on a roll for the most part. We just watched Chris throw his approach. Just not enough there. I feel like the next 2 holes, maybe even the next 3 holes, are really good chances to get birdie 2s out here. There's a couple of par 4s sprinkled in throughout the course. You can also see a par 5 in a few holes, but there's a bogey for Rowdy, not having the greatest round here at this point. It looks like his lead has not only evaporated, but it looks like he's kind of struggling. High and hyzer on the Mach 3, and yet it still pulls it in. Lots of love here on these somewhat older traditional baskets. Kaposia Disc Golf Course, I believe, established around 1990, which is older than I realize quite a few of you that are maybe even out there watching right now. We're moving on. Paige Pierce is a Patreon supporter. She has been since the very early goings. Honored to have 4-time Women's World Champion supporting each and every video that I put up here on Patreon. Go out, support her and all of the efforts that she's doing on the media side, in addition to being a phenomenal player. Matt catches one of the right side trees. In fact, Paige Pierce celebrating a birthday right around the time of this commentary, so I'm going to give her the shout out for the happy birthday as well. 285, real popular number here for this course, right around that 270 to 290 mark. We saw the first 3 holes on the course are right around that exact same number. And Rowdy's almost pin high. Ed struggles on that right side. He's going to have a little work to do to get up and down. Looks like the rain is holding off for now, but it's definitely looming. Matt just a little bit more up the fairway than what we just saw from Ed's approach shot. And that should work for him. Solid putt there by Rowdy. That's going to push him back to 5 under par. Again, he started the day at 7 under par, so he's just 2 over right now, and he is 4 strokes short of the current leader, at least on this card, in Matt. A missed opportunity there for Taylor. He's made a lot of really good putts in the opening 15 holes. Chris also has made some pretty solid putts out here. He takes the birdie. He also pushes back to 5 under. After the opening round, both Chris and Rowdy were tied at that 7 under. And now you can see that they're both 2 over for the day. Plenty of golf to play. Throwback to quite a few years ago, we'll say yesteryear, 2001. I was in Minnesota playing this course and others for the amateur world, or correction, the professional world championships I competed in. Winner was Cam Todd on the MPO side. Thank you, Graham, for being a supporter via Patreon. And not only was I here in 2001, but I believe it was 2014 I was back here for the amateur world championships. So that, in addition to playing a number of Minnesota Majestics and other tournaments, lots of history can be found in a really great Minnesota disc golf scene. Oh, Rowdy coming in hot. 265, slightly downhill, a little bit of trees to contend with, not quite a low ceiling, but really you want to do pretty much what you see right there. That's a really good shot there by Taylor. Yep, Matt I would say agrees. He says he likes it. I believe that's a buzz from Ed. We see him throw that quite a bit, and he gets even closer. Chris and Rowdy are going to have to settle for the pars, it looks like. And this is one you really want to make sure that you get. I feel like this is probably the single easiest hole on the course. I'm sure somebody could contest that, but I feel like this is probably the most gettable, least amount of trouble, and arguably the easiest one on the course. Matt takes the birdie. He's going to push to 10 under. He's the first guy we see get to double digits. And Taylor is right there on his heels. Let's see if he can keep pace. And he does. Ed, I don't know. Oh, okay, there you are. You still have a birdie to get, man. And Ed just erupts with enthusiasm. He takes the birdie. We're going to move on to 18. Egg, thank you so much for the support. I'm going to move over to hole number 18. The path and beyond to the left are out of bounds. The creek that you find pushed along this right side of the fairway is casual. So the mistake to make, if you're going to not park it or get close, you want to be somewhere on the right side. Anywhere left is going to be out of bounds. And you can see we've got 3 shots that have all pushed to the right, trying not to make that crucial mistake. That's turned over. 245 downhill, probably plays closer to 200. Chris going with a forehand, and that turned over right out of his hands. It looked like he forced that right over. Maybe rolled his wrist a little bit, but he's out of bounds, way back by the tee. And everyone else looks to be pretty scared of that OB except for Chris. And this is not an easy shot because you're still thinking that out of bounds. If you get that up in the air or maybe carry it too far past, you could actually find the out of bounds again. So Chris keeping all of that in mind. Looks like a pretty good approach as Matt puts himself right next to the pin. We'll see just how aggressive Rowdy wants to be. If there's a wind lift or a gust or anything like that, it could possibly pick that up and carry it up over the basket. So I can understand being just a bit tentative. We're seeing a bunch of layups for that exact reason. However, Chris with the OB is going to get up and down, walk away with just a bogey. And most of the wind or other elements that you find out there today are a little bit calmer down here as we're down in the lower part of this valley, galley, whatever I want to call it. I don't think galley's a word. All right, everyone's going to tap in. We're going to fight up the hill on 19 here in just a second. Thank you, Nick Williams. Nick, a Milwaukee local. Helps out with leagues and all around super great guy. Been a Patreon supporter for a long time. And this hole it's marked at a par 3, which it certainly is, but it is a tough par 3. And you either need to throw a very powerful shot or possibly throw an aggressive one in, because getting all the way to the pin is reserved for the likes of, well, I'll go local, probably the likes of a KL or a Alex Geisinger possibly come to mind. I don't see too many other people getting up into putting range here on hole number 19. 345, you got to play with the angle, make sure it comes down flat. I'm sure everyone has seen a 300-foot plus shot, then get up and roll 200 feet backwards on this hole. And that'll work as it comes to rest there for Chris. Very tough shot. Not only do you have to throw straight up the hill, but then you're always going to be concerned with your footing on this one. Again, wet and a little bit slick out there. Doesn't make it any easier. And Rowdy's past the pin. He's looking at a bogey 4 if he can make that. Sits, and it does for Chris. That's a solid approach. Just great to see all the different terrain and options out here at a course in Minnesota. I guess we take it for granted in the Midwest as I travel around the country and look at hillsides and topography of this nature. Like, this is second nature for me in Wisconsin or over in Minnesota or Michigan, somewhere in that area, not realizing some parts of the country don't have this big of a hill within miles, let alone do they have disc golf courses scattered throughout them. So this is Taylor for his par, and that is a trickier putt than it looks, but he walks away with the 3. And you feel a little bit of that wind picking up again, but Rowdy downhill. This is one of those situations you somehow miss the 10-footer and you literally could roll 200 or 300 feet all the way down the hillside. Wait a minute, was that a high heel kick? I like it. Ladies First Disc Golf, a Milwaukee-based company. We ain't lying, that goes in on the first try. I'm guessing that was just one take. But seriously, thank you to Innova and Innova Disc Golf for supporting the event. Hole number 20 is a par 5, 485 feet. You're playing up the gap. First you have to hit this initial gap, and then you're still not even quite out of the woods, even with a nearly miraculous throw. And then you have to continue to throw uphill, and the basket is tucked up on the back of a hillside. And that's a sneaky route that nobody should be trying to take. Somehow Chris gets through, though. And that looks like a really good shot. So we'll see in a moment that you still have to, well, in another moment, you still have to try and fight through this scattered wooded area just to get to the opening. That's exactly what Ed's trying to do. Yeah. Again, a miraculous shot maybe gets you to the edge of that opening, and that's the only way you could ever be looking at a 3 here.
Come on.
Not quite able to get out is Taylor. Matt's in a pretty good position, but you can tell with the run up there, just not able to keep it clean. But he was in really good position at that spot. And Chris's cheater route gives him this, and he also doesn't get out. These guys not taking advantage. Again, those gaps are small. We'd love to see someone get out of there cleanly to possibly take the 3 or the 4. And Rowdy's done just that. Taylor's third shot. Matt setting up his third shot. That also might be a little light. However, it had quite an angle on it, so we'll see what happened. Here's Chris's third, and that has a little too much mustard on it. I think he's going to be deep of the pin. Good line, just deep probably. I believe that was Ed's 4th. At this point, when you're playing a par 5 with a lot of tree hits and woods, you get a little loopy as to who's throwing what, and definitely short there for Rowdy. Taylor's still just sitting one stroke back here of Matt. Seems like they're kind of comfortably clear of the other three card mates at the moment. Yeah, and it looks like Chris did have a really good line, just long of the basket. I was told, oh, just high. Good run, though. Interesting to see him actually be a little too high on that. Someone had told me that when Brett Favre moved, oh wow, look at that, great putt for Head to save the par, that when Brett Favre left the Packers, ultimately moved to Minnesota, someone told me that he owned the house straight across the street right there. And that was actually his second house. That's unconfirmed. Now that we're back out in the open, we'll hear a little bit of that wind. Is that Deanna Favre? Is she in the window watching? Par for Taylor. He's going to stay at 9 under. We're going to see Matt. He's going to tap in, so he's going to be all knotted up at 9 under par. Doug P., another Patreon supporter. Thank you so much, Doug. So Taylor's got the honor. Maybe a little bit of the momentum going. And this hole sets up great for a lefty as long as you don't come in short. And that's exactly what he did. This hole bends from left to right, way off in the distance where we saw those other players. That's essentially where this hole finishes. And you're just trying to make the bend. There's a critter sighting. Like that is critter. It's not a critter. I guess it's a critter as well. And even with that tree hit, that still puts him in the center of the fairway. Should be a really easy up and down from there. That's all you're looking to do. I'm sure someone could tell me whether or not they really like the roller approach. I don't think with all of the wind, the roller is going to get you necessarily to the pin here. I think if you're playing a match play for fun, maybe a roller would be a good option. There's the lefty forehand. Taylor throwing his second shot, and that's perfectly fine. Of course, he would have loved to be there on his drive. I think being left-handed, that's exactly what he should have been playing for. Okay, he's got the double kick. I was going to say, if you kick to the right, you're likely going down pretty nasty hill. And that's a solid approach, just past the pin. Matt making it look easy, also right next to the pin. So here's Taylor's third shot. Oh no. That one gets away from him, and he hits against what I believe is an ice rink. Not quite cold enough here in May for an ice rink, but not too far from it either. I think temps are maybe in the low 50s or high 40s at most.
Yeah.
And bang, bang. What a great putt by Rowdy. That's going to give him the par, keep him at 4 under. And so Taylor's able to bring it in 1 meter because inside of there is out of bounds. So this is him for his 4. Uh-oh. Rowdy's going to assess. maybe. I got an eye on it. Okay, okay, not too bad. But as I said, there's a nasty hill there. Taylor's actually going to be pretty happy he's right there. And his putting was on before this? Like, really on? Chris has also made a whole bunch of really good putts here today, so surprised to see that one slip out for him. He's looking at a bogey 4. And Taylor just wants to be done with hole 21. He came into this hole with a tie for the lead, and that one stays in, and he ends up taking the triple bogey 6. And just like that, he's going to go to 6 under par. Meanwhile, his co-leader from a few moments ago, Matt, has the very short tap in. He's going to remain at 9. So a 3-stroke swing, not in Taylor's favor. I'm going to move over to hole 22. Adam, appreciate the Patreon support. Might be one of the easier holes out here. 260 feet downhill, plays at most probably about a 230-foot throw, if even that. I'm down at about the halfway point, maybe just past the halfway point to catch the shot. It is completely blind from the tee. And that one stops and comes down for Rowdy, but I'm about, just past the halfway point. I love watching these shots come over the top. And this is the only way we'd actually see it go in if there was an ace. And the good forward roll. Seems like things are rolling just fine for Matt. And that looks like a good shot for Chris, but it catches edge. All right, that's not too bad. Chris started off the day with a tie for the lead along with Rowdy. And right now there's going to have to be a really big push if they want to get in there and have any share of that lead. Rowdy sits at +4 for the day. Chris sits at +5 for the day. Correction, that might be +3 and +4. I think they started at 7 under. If there's an award for mild-mannered, I'd give it to Ed. And that is 100% a compliment. Just to be very clear on that. Ed has to be one of the calmest guys I've ever watched play a round of disc golf. Good, bad, or indifferent. Ed's just consistent. And Matt's going to pick up another birdie. That's going to push him back to 10 under, where we've seen him before. And quite a turnaround between him and Taylor in these last few holes. Taylor's going to remain at 6. And that means that Matt has picked up 4 strokes in the last 2 holes. And you feel the wind picking up, and now you also feel a little bit of that rain coming in. Let's see how that factors in for the last 4 holes. Thank you, Pete Cashin. Amazing individual. Him and his brother, and so much of I'll say the entire Kansas City area for disc golf. But Pete Cashin, super big supporter, super great guy, and I appreciate it so much. Great looking shot there by Matt. This one plays as a par 4. And really, you want to land just about where Matt did. I mean, if you can push it up a little bit more up the fairway than that, that's great. as we're going to see Ed get a little bit more distance, but the one thing you don't want to do is push all the way across the fairway, carry another 30 feet past where Ed did to the left, and find the edge of the woods. So the distance isn't as big of a deal here. I think you just want to kind of have a stress-free approach, and if you put too much hyzer on it like that, you might have a little more work to do. We're back by the same highway that we hear on hole number 8 and also on hole number 4, so we're near that same highway right now. Things get a little bit louder. And here's what I mean. If you're pushing yourself to this left side fairway, it just doesn't make this approach anywhere nearly as easy. Even though it's not that far, it's just a lot more work to do. Hyzer back for Chris. It's a pretty good shot. See the rain picking up even more. We're on about hour 4 probably or more of this round at this point.
What's up, Taylor?
Trying to ring this thing up in 2, as if he doesn't have enough of a lead. And just a picture-perfect drive there by Ed. Great approach. Should easily be able to walk away with a 3 here. Rowdy's 3rd shot. Chris was a little shorter than it looked from back at his approach and on line, but the wind caught it. Solid birdie there for Taylor. That's going to push him within 3 of Matt. However, Matt has a chance to answer, and he does. That'll push him back to a 4-stroke lead over Taylor. We're going to keep an eye on the chase card. Not sure how things are going at the moment. Things were relatively tight going into the round. And we got a few pars. Ed should be able to tap in for the birdie. That'll push Ed back to 5 under par if he doesn't get blown over. Problems. We're moving on to hole 24. Thank you, Brian C. Hole 24 plays like a horseshoe. So you're really throwing out and then it bends way to the right. If you could cut the woods and go straight through the woods, you basically cut the hole in half. The players are standing on the tee. If they went to about, I don't know, the 3 o'clock position, it's almost a straight 90 degrees straight right. So this sets up great for a lefty. As long as he keeps it out of the woods, and he's done that, that's about halfway there, maybe a little more. Also, if this can stay out of the woods, oh, short. But thankfully it kicked out for him. I know there's some standing water in the woods. I'm not sure if it's declared as out of bounds or not in this case, but I know there's almost always water in that wood line. So you want to stay clear of it. Matt's forehand looks like a par there. Just an opportunity at it. Chris to save his par. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I don't think I've had any par save puns whatsoever during this, at least during this back half. But big shout out to Chris and Craig and all of the par save crew for out there hustling around. They know what it takes and then some to put out great video, and I think they've really stepped up how graphics have been done here in our post-production. So big shout out to those guys. And the little trickery there. What a great shot by Ed. This is Taylor trying to save his par, actually. Solid. Oh. And Matt not able to connect. It's like maybe I didn't even think about this one in the correct mind space. This is actually a par 4, which does make a little bit more sense to me. And that means Matt is actually going to take the par. Meanwhile, the previous two guys saw birdies. It's just constantly impressing me. If I only knew what was going on from time to time. All right, just a few holes left to play. Maverick Disc Golf, thank you so much for the support. Should we check those guys out? Oh. And another hole that sets up actually really well here for Taylor, being the lone lefty on the card. Plays down to the basket on that tabletop. And if you can just keep it low, I feel like a fade with almost any disc in your bag should bring it right toward that picnic table with the basket on it. Let's see if that can get up. And that's going to leave Chris short. Right now, Matt's got the lead by 3. He goes with the forehand in. Makes the one mistake you really can't make here. Finds the OB. That's actually 26's fairway. So that plays as an OB to the left on this hole, or OB to the right of it on the next hole. And Matt wants to keep things interesting. So after bringing it in 1 meter, he's going to try and get up and down. Hopefully just minimize the mistake by taking a bogey. And after Taylor hit early, he's got some work to do still here. And Taylor says, all right, I don't need to be a hero. I'm just going to take my medicine, walk away with a bogey 4. So although Matt went out of bounds, Taylor's not going to make up any strokes on him here. Looks like pars for lunch for Rowdy, but a birdie for Chris. As he moves to 6 under. That's going to put him 1 up on the round. Bogey, par, bogey. Just 2 holes left to play. Matt and Taylor, 3 strokes apart. Sam Martinson from southern Wisconsin, also another huge Patreon supporter. You guys have been so amazing. I'm glad to give the shout outs. I appreciate all of the support. If you want to know more about how to become a Patreon supporter or what it really means, please check it out on patreon.com/thediscgolfguy. Without that help and additional support, I wouldn't be able to give you nearly as many videos as I do. And if there's something that you need or have any creative ideas for how I can further thank and recognize and appreciate our Patreon supporters, I am certainly all ears. We're here on a par 4, hole 26, just 2 left to play. I feel like if you put this out anywhere in the open, then you should be able to make the bend a little bit easier. The one thing you don't need to do is really push to that tree line on that left side of the screen or right side for the players. If anything, you want to hyzer out, possibly be up on the high right side of the fairway as we're looking at it. And after going into the woods on the far right side, Ed does not have a lot of options. So I'm getting tricky on the previous hole. Here's another overhand. And the thumber through the woods gets him all the way out. And now look here at the birdie. Oh, that was such a good looking line there for Rowdy. The classic line when you get in the car. If I just went to hit that one tree. And Matt, after having the best drive in the group, does not have the best approach shot. There's the lefty finish for Taylor. And with the OB road just on the back side of the green there, this is a smart play, not only by Rowdy there a moment ago, but also by Matt here. As he says, just taking the easy par. Right now he's got control of the lead as Chris takes another birdie. Back-to-back solid putts. Chris will push back to 7 under overall. And Matt really just playing things out. He's in a really good position right now and just trying to bring this thing home. Birdie for Taylor. Par and another par from Matt. And we're going to push on to the final hole. Matt is in control here for the Minnesota Amateur Championships. Ryan Pilcher, another super great human. I'd love to give Ryan and the rest of my Patreon supporters all high fives as the card does. I'm going to move down to the green, namely because this is a very fast green. The hole is only 180 feet. And it's really tough to see where it finishes once it crests that hill. And that's a pretty good looking shot there by Chris. Coming in right at my feet to the elevated pin. There's the buzz coming in by Ed. OB for Ed. So in a similar position to Chris, but instead out of bounds, he'll have a chance to save the par though. And Taylor, a little jacked up, comes in, goes deep. Maybe he knows that if he wants any chance at catching Matt, he's going to need at least a birdie. Comes up short. Now there is a gallery that's kind of formed directly behind me, and it sounds as if there might be a -10 in the clubhouse, and that's come from Jake Cross on the second card. He was tied with Matt going into the round, and he's sitting at -10 overall. So Matt Friedman is going to win the event with this putt right there. And he's got a smile, or a half smile, and her look said it all. Just not quite enough. All right, so I've spoiled it a little bit for you guys, but not really. That was the excitement that I heard as I walked up to the green. Chris puts in, so good birdie for Chris. Solid finish. And Ad's able to save his par. Pleasure meeting and watching Ed play along with Chris. I've met Chris before, but hadn't watched him play any golf before. Taylor also able to take the par, so he'll call it a day. Pleasure Taylor, and one of your co-leaders from round one, Rowdy, puts in, and he's going to finish with the par. Matt needs the dunk, and he's got it. But now, as if 5+ hours weren't enough, there's going to be more golf. And there's some of the three in the crowd. William H., thanks. You're supporting playoff golf here, William. So here you have it. Matt Friedman along with Jake Frost. They shot identical scores first and second round. It is sudden death starting on hole 1, and they play until someone gets a better score than the other person. Hole 1, and they just carry it throughout. So Matt Friedman off to the right. Here's Jake Frost. A little bit better angle, but gets the kick off the tree and the roll. Not what he needed here. Jake's got 35 or 40 feet, and he cans it. Putting all the pressure now on Matt. This is just to continue the playoff. And Matt answers. All right, who cares about the kick? Everyday Disc Golf and Tom, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with Tom the last few years here to bring you guys the Minnesota Amateur Championships coverage. So 275 feet. We're back to hole 2. We just saw the birdies. And it could all end here. Matt all but parks it. Jake answer again? Yeah, he says. So now Jake, not nearly as long as the previous putt, but a little bit more wind to deal with. Solid. Never a doubt.
Great putt.
Yeah, great putt. Again, Matt with a relatively short putt, but the last thing you want to do, okay, is give one away, give an easy one away, so he doesn't. He also answers, now they're both at 12 under. Bill Sherman, big putt Bill Sherman from San Jose, California. Santa Clara, I think, actually. Somewhere in that neighborhood. He likes watching the Sharks. Thanks for being a huge supporter, Bill. Matt gets to about pin high here on hole 3. And Jake opts for the forehand, but it's low. That's going to leave him out first again. So 3 consecutive playoff holes. Jake goes first. Let's see what kind of pressure he can put on Matt. Solid approach right next to the pin. Matt's at least 40 feet to the pin. Just past pin high. Woo! Yeah. And he cans it and becomes your Minnesota Amateur Champion. I'm going to catch up with him in a minute. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's hear from Matt.
Better way to do it.
No, Matt, I couldn't ask for a better way. Congratulations. Let's hear from you. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the Amateur Championships. I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and that was my video blog. Matt, I gotta say, I feel like it was about 2 years ago, almost to the day, we were standing in the same spot, and you were also the champion here at the Minnesota Amateur Championships. How does it feel?
Oh, it's a feeling you can't describe. Just kind of both times playing with the elements, just took them in stride, and it seemed to pay off.
So you have to take this one into a little bit of overtime, 3 extra holes. What were you thinking about as you walked up to that final putt?
Just me in the basket, that's all there is, and just saw the line and just hit it.
Well, a great battle here today. Now, we saw the playoff where the tie come off of the second card. Talk a little bit about the camaraderie and what you were experiencing here on this lead card that they watched.
Well, lead card today was just great. Everyone's pushing each other, giving encouragement. No one really had any tense feelings, any big holes. They just shook it off and took it in stride. And same thing with yesterday. Another great card. Just it helps a lot.
It does. Well, it's been a great experience here. Five people on the card, 27 holes, plus the playoff. Daryl and Tom and everyone else, I appreciate all the support out here. Love being here in Minnesota. And again, we're going to crown Matt our champion.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys next year.